Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. 5 rounds in the Writing Online Heavyweight Division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. Coming in with an approach that puts perfection first. The approach that puts the fear in being worst with a record of inconsistent excellence. Put your hands together for quality. And now, introducing the champion, fighting out of the red corner, the reigning, defending, undisputed Writing Online champion of the world, the mass producer, Quantity. Oh God, Jesus, that's really hard to do. Bruce, if you're watching this, you're awesome, man. Okay. I hope you could appreciate my elaborate intro. Anyway, that's what this video is about. Quality versus quantity. What's better? What should you be prioritizing as a writer online? We're going to cover all of that in this video, so get comfortable, get yourself a nice drink, and just watch and learn. But whatever you do, just make sure you stick around until the very end, because I'm going to hit you with a Superman punch that's just going to totally change your perspective on this entire topic. So first, let's go over the pros and the cons of each side, just to be fair. We'll start with quality, because quality speaks for itself. It's good. It's impressive. The problem is, it's infrequent and inconsistent. So, for example, in the UFC, there are a lot of guys who are very capable fighters, very, very good. But whenever they come up against, like, the real, legit monsters, they get their head kicked in. So think of someone like Kevin Holland as representing inconsistent quality. On a good night, Kevin Holland is amazing. He can bang with the best of them. But when you put him in there against Khamzat Chimaev, this absolute unit, he just gets wrecked. And this doesn't just happen in the world of fighting. Take George R.R. Martin as an example from the writing world. He wrote his first 3 books in A Song of Ice and Fire in the space of just 4 years. But his next one, A Feast for Crows, came out 5 years after that. And then his 6th book came out 6 years after the 4th one. And fans are still waiting. We're now in 2025 and it's been 14 years since his last book. Because as each year goes by, it just looks less and less likely that he's going to be able to do it. And this is the fundamental problem with just relying on quality. It takes time. It takes rewrites, and it can cloud your mind with so much anxiety if you're a beginner starting out. Now, I don't think this is the case with George R.R. Martin. I think he's just a guy with way too many distractions, and his health just isn't where it needs to be to match the creative demands of his stories. But either way, prioritizing quality will not guarantee your success. For example, you could spend months trying to write the perfect Medium article, but then when you finally post it, you might be met with crickets. If you're a beginner writer, this just is not a good strategy to rely on. Now, let's move on to quantity. What's good about it? What's shit about it? Let's talk about it. But before getting into that, just let me be clear about something. Just because I'm comparing quality and quantity does not mean I'm pitting them against each other, like a UFC fight. Because these two things are not polar opposites. If your aim with quality is to create perfection, your aim with quantity is not to ship out as many pieces of shit as possible. These aren't like arch enemies like in the UFC. They're more like sparring partners, okay? So with that out of the way, what does creating with quantity actually look like? It's very simple. It just means writing and posting consistently. Daily, every other day, weekly, whatever it is, it just means you're always creating. Even if it's just writing down a note or an idea. Quantity means you're writing something every day, building your skills and honing your craft through rigorous repetition. When I first started writing online, I committed to writing and publishing every day on Medium for an entire year. I started the year with 0 followers and I ended it with over 15,000. Just following that strategy of creating with quantity took me into the top 1% of Medium writers in just 1 year. Now, was everything I wrote amazing? Obviously not. But it wasn't all a total pile of poo either. The real reason I took the quantity approach is because I wanted to ingrain the habit of writing in my soul. I needed to write every day just to direct my attention towards something. Posting 1 thing per day was perfect for me. But that does not mean it doesn't come with some downsides. Let's talk about those now. So the reality with posting consistently is that you will tend to make some short-sighted decisions and write things that you regret. Now, I didn't write anything that made me feel ashamed of myself, but there were a few posts where it's obvious I was clutching at straws because I had to stay on schedule, right? I had to hit my quota. So I might have written something that was probably not as good as it could have been. There were other times where maybe I'd write a very clickbait headline just to try and get as many eyeballs as possible, but not have a good payoff in the actual content. Sometimes I'd write something as a deliberate provocation just to piss someone off. I didn't do a lot of these bad things all the time. I'd say maybe less than 1% of the time. But when you are writing on this very strict, rigid schedule, you will try and take shortcuts sometimes because you're writing a lot of things, right? And when you first start out, you're not going to be flooded with ideas all the time. Sometimes you are going to struggle to come up with something to write about, and because you're sticking to such a strict schedule, you will try and cut corners. Another argument against prioritizing quantity is just your bandwidth. As a human, your energy is limited. You don't have infinite energy. And with how AI is just advancing every single day, focusing on just mass production is choosing to run a race you can't win. In the long run, if your content doesn't have any sugar and spice and everything nice, it'll get swallowed up by the millions of AI-generated posts flooding every platform. And it doesn't matter how amazing or fast you are at producing content, because you're never going to beat an army of robots. This is actually the argument Tim Ferriss uses in favor of quality. And to be fair, he has a point. So, what should you do? What's the strategy that will take you to the moon and the stars and maybe even Mars? Obviously, a lot depends on your personal goals and where you are in this journey right now. But before we get into that, I want to hit you with a little curveball. I know I've framed this video as quality versus quantity, and that may fool you into thinking you can only choose one or the other. But the reality is, there's no reason why you can't do both. In fact, you should be trying to do both. There's absolutely no reason why you can't produce good things on a consistent basis. You have a mind with infinite potential. You just haven't unlocked it yet. Most people's minds are a complete mess. They're a clusterfuck. They're a disaster zone. Most people's minds are so corrupted, so distracted, so biased, they're living at less than 1,000th of what they're actually capable of. If you really take a step back and just observe how most humans live their lives, it's actually insane. And don't misunderstand me, I'm not above this, right? I lived like this for the vast majority of my life. Things like waking up sleep deprived because when I was supposed to be sleeping, I was scrolling on my phone, looking at just degenerate shit for hours. Stuff that didn't make me happy, stuff that just made my life worse. And I do it night after night, addicted, completely and utterly addicted, being brainwashed with fucking bullshit. In the morning, what do? You get up and you have breakfast. But what is in the breakfast? What food are you consuming? Carbohydrates, sugar, dairy. Most people are intolerant to all of these things. They consume this stuff and they have what's called inflammation, which is where their body's trying to process what the fuck's just been put into it. And it makes you feel like shit. Most people just aren't even aware of this shit. They're poisoning themselves and they get used to the feeling of being poisoned. So they don't think there's anything wrong, when really they've just gotten used to feeling like shit all the time. Then what happens? Then what? You go to work, right? You sit in rush hour traffic for hours every day, surrounded by people all doing the same shit. And then you get to work with people you don't even like. Not really. It's just a game of politics, just a stupid soap opera. Whenever you get a chance, you go to the toilet and sit down for 30 minutes to look at your phone again. And yet most people wonder why their lives are so fucked. Oh, I wonder why. Does it have anything to do with how much self-sabotage you're doing? And make no mistake about it, I am not exaggerating. This is most people. It's honestly no wonder they can't do anything. Their minds are just being poisoned every single day. But the good news is, and there is a silver lining, there are easy fixes to all of this. If you fix your sleep, you stop waking up tired. If you fix your food, You stop feeling like a zombie. You stop feeling like you've got all this brain fog and you can't think clearly. You stop going to the toilet with your phone. You stop wasting 30 minutes just looking at bullshit. You do this for one day and it feels like overnight everything's changed. You suddenly feel like you're walking on air, like you're 50 pounds lighter. It feels like this massive weight just gets lifted off your shoulder. It's like you can see the world for the first time as it's meant to be seen. Unless you've experienced this, you won't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Seriously, changing these things makes your life 10 times better. Not to mention your creative output. It's ridiculous. I was so stupid for not making this change sooner. I actually feel like I've wasted so much time because I didn't take this shit seriously. And I'm not kidding, because if you fix this stuff, writing will not be an issue for you. You will easily be able to create pieces of quality and quantity. The only reason you can't do both right now is because you are sabotaging yourself. And if you're someone who's dialed in, like, ignore this, okay? I'm speaking to the average person. If you're someone who eats chocolate on a regular basis, if you're someone who goes to the toilet with your phone, if you're someone who wakes up tired every day, if you're someone who's drinking so much caffeine that could kill a gorilla, I'm speaking to that person. Okay, if you're locked in, fine, congratulations. The point is, you can do it. You can create things with quality on a consistent basis. You just can't do it yet. You can't do it in your current state, in the way you're currently living. If you want to master the psychology of writing, click the first link in the description and get my free magnetic writing guide. If you're serious about becoming a digital writer, building an audience and making money online in 2025, click the second link in the description. And if you like this video, I think you'll like this next one where I show you how to write things people actually want to read. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.